I know it's tempting. $2, $3, maybe even $7. We're talking about DoorDash peak pay. And in this video, knowing exactly when to go online. If you're new to the channel, my name is Mike, and this channel is dedicated to your success in this gig economy. So if you're new here, consider subscribing. And I invite you to check out yourdrivermike.com, the only site built to teach you what actually works so you can make more money on your next shift. So we're talking about peak pay today, driving on DoorDash. And if you're not familiar with peak pay, that's really the cornerstone bonus, the main bonus that DoorDash offers you as a driver. It's what's called a per delivery bonus. So when you sign up for shifts, if there is peak pay, which is going to be shown in the promo tab of your Dasher app, it will say, sign up for certain shifts in this market segment and drive during this specific time slot and earn an extra, whatever it is, $2, $3 plus per delivery. And that truly is a per delivery bonus. Some of these apps, they'll do what's called a batched bonus, where they'll give you a threshold you have to hit. Let's say you gotta do 8 deliveries or you gotta do 10 deliveries. And then they'll give you a bonus. Or honestly, even worse, they'll guarantee pay. So if you're short from that guarantee, they'll basically pay the difference. But that's not what we're talking about here. Today, it is actually true per delivery bonuses on peak pay. Now these bonuses vary based on your market, based on the time of day and honestly time of year, etc. But regardless of how frequently you get peak pay and how high or low peak pay is, we're going to look at the actual data and develop a strategy of when exactly to drive on peak pay. So this is my earnings spreadsheet. I just detailed this in a video. I'll link it up above. But specifically today, we're going to look at those peak pay incentives. We're going to look at how many deliveries I completed per hour. We're going to look at the total hours driven and compare across 3 spectrums. So number 1, I want to compare bonuses that are up to $3. Secondly, the next tier is bonuses $3.50 to $4.50. And then the last tier I want to look at is bonuses $5 to $7. Yes, I know, $7 peak pay bonuses is kind of crazy. It is very rare here in San Diego. And actually, let me know down below in the comments, what's the highest per delivery bonus you've seen in your market? So let's pull the numbers from this spreadsheet. Now, this entire spreadsheet covers my most recent 102 deliveries. So as mentioned, these bonus thresholds are going to be broken into 3 segments. But within that, I want to look at a few things. Number 1, how many actual scheduled shifts did I get with each respective bonus? Number 2, the gross revenue per hour earned. Number 3, the orders per hour I was able to do. Number 4, the total deliveries completed under that bonus segment. And then lastly, the total amount of hours driven within that bonus range. So number 1, let's pull all peak pay bonuses up to $3. So under this respective threshold, I scheduled 4 shifts and I drove for 12.75 hours. And then during this time, I completed 24 deliveries. So based on those hours and the deliveries completed, I was able to complete 1.88 deliveries per hour on average. And then what I did for gross revenue per hour is I took the number from gross revenue per hour for each shift, and we're going to average those. So the average gross revenue per hour for this bonus segment, $21.77. Well, that's pretty good. Now, do keep in mind with this whole video and this analysis, this is, of course, my personal driving experience in my specific marketplace, and just for a certain range of deliveries, of course. But moving on, what I think is probably the most common bonus segment, that's bonuses from $3.50 to $4.50. So I scheduled 8 total shifts under this bonus segment and drove for 26.83 hours. During that time, I completed 44 deliveries, which averages out to 1.64 orders per hour. So that's interesting. That's a little bit less than the prior bonus segment, but let's see if there's any relation to pay. So our average gross revenue on this bonus segment was $21.49. Well, that's basically 30 cents short of the lower bonus tier. So they're really basically the same. Number 3. The third and largest bonus segment, that's bonuses from $5 to $7. So during my last shifts, I was able to schedule 6 total shifts in this bonus segment. For this bonus segment, I drove 17.25 hours and completed 34 deliveries, which somewhat interestingly averages out to 1.97 orders per hour. So that's our highest average orders per hour out of all of the bonuses, and actually surprisingly beating the lower tier bonuses. But the number that really matters, pay, right? Did the higher bonuses mean higher gross revenue per hour? Well, you would like to think so, and surprisingly, the number came out to $30.03 per hour. That's surprising because the first two tiers were basically the same, about $21, $22 an hour. Whereas the highest pay incentive, $5 to $7, was about $8 per hour higher. So what does this tell us apart from, yes, this is my personal data? Let's of course keep that in mind here. This is what I took away from the data, at least on a surface level. The bonuses, the small to medium bonuses, basically treat them the same as we're seeing from this data. So if your current marketplace is, let's say, $2.50 bonus, whereas one that's 10 or so minutes away is $4, it may make sense and it may equal basically the same pay to just drive in your current marketplace and save those miles. Now, the gross revenue per hour may be basically the same for the lower to mid-tier bonuses, perhaps because it's evenly spreading out drivers in the marketplace. So if your marketplace has $1, $2, $3 bonuses, it's pretty good, but it's not like $6 where all the drivers in the marketplace are trying to scramble to that one segment. So maybe that's why these numbers are pretty similar. The orders per hour completed and of course the gross revenue per hour. But what surprised me were the large market bonuses. Let's go over what those mean. Because I would think, and maybe you think this as well, let me know, but you kind of think that, like I just mentioned, a exceptionally high bonus is just going to flood that segment with more drivers. So a saturated market segment is going to slow down your orders per hour. Because there's so many more drivers, that segment is basically maxed out, right? Well, we saw the orders per hour, it was the highest out of all three. So here's why I think that is. Whenever you drive on the highest bonuses possible, yes, in my opinion, absolutely it's going to bring in more drivers to that segment or just max out that segment with the drivers. However, I believe the reason that I got the highest pay on this segment, as well as being able to keep up with the 2 orders per hour, was the skill sets and the strategies when driving on DoorDash. What I mean by that is becoming an expert in that market segment. A lot of these segments that I drove on the higher bonuses, I was very familiar with. So it's number one, I already knew where the hotspots were, right? Number two, it's understanding that not all hotspots are created the same and provide the same opportunities. For instance, if a hotspot is a large mall, right, which typically they would be, you may have to park, you may have to go inside, you may have to walk deep inside that mall complex, versus knowing that just minutes away is another hotspot that's just a traditional plaza. It's got super easy parking, you can go right inside. So going with that option, option B is going to allow me to keep orders coming, versus option one, if I did not know that marketplace, maybe I would park by that mall because it is a hotspot, right? I'm thinking, okay, this is a good place to wait, when an expert would know, well, no, there's a better opportunity down the road. Now you may be saying, well, what about the miles? Well, the entire spreadsheet here for the 102 deliveries still had a dollars to mile ratio of over $2 per mile. So what's the overall verdict here? When do you exactly go online? Well, there's 2 takeaways here. For the small to medium bonuses, I would say go online anytime. Well, obviously, you always want to have a peak pay, let's say. So any peak pay is better than no peak pay, again, obviously. But the small to medium peak pay, do not really commute to other segments if possible. And don't chase certain mid-level bonuses, right? Like we saw, if it's a $2.50 bonus in your current marketplace, you might as well schedule that one so you don't have any commuting miles, versus maybe a $4 bonus, which seems pretty good, but it's 15 minutes away, and you may not be as familiar with that segment. And then secondly, turning our attention to those high peak pay bonuses. That strategy is a little bit different, because that I would still schedule, I would still take advantage of it, but I would anticipate some driver saturation and implement those strategies that we talked about, is researching the hotspots, which ones are better than others, and then knowing the marketplace in general, which spots are better and knowing which places to avoid. Well, Mike, what happens if my marketplace doesn't have peak pay? We don't get any of that, more or less $7 bonuses. That's okay. I did a video on driving without bonuses. Make sure to check the card linked above. And to master any delivery app, do make sure to check out yourdrivermike.com. Again, it is going live this Wednesday. If you got value in this video, definitely leave a like, and you can also click or tap the screen now for my most recent video, as well as a video recommended for you, and I'll see you in the next one.